Have you ever had a strange headache that didn't quite feel right? Or found yourself struggling to find the right word mid-sentence, as if your brain just froze for a moment? Maybe you stood up, took a step, and suddenly felt like the floor shifted beneath you. Most people brush these moments off. They say, "I'm just tired," or, "That's just age catching up." But what if these quiet, ordinary symptoms were actually the early whispers of something far more dangerous? The truth is, most strokes don't come without warning. They come after subtle signs, days or even weeks beforehand, if only we know how to recognize them. And in today's video, you're about to learn the 8 warning signs that a stroke may be approaching, plus 9 powerful ways to prevent it before it ever happens. Whether you're in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, this may be one of the most important videos you'll ever watch. Not because it brings fear, but because it brings you back control. Because protecting your brain means protecting your memory, your independence, your voice, and the years you still have ahead. So stay with us, take notes, share this with someone you love. This could be the video that saves a life, maybe even yours. Strokes are not one size fits all. They come in 2 main forms. Ischemic stroke, the most common type, making up 80 to 85% of all strokes. This occurs when blood flow is blocked by a clot or fat buildup. Hemorrhagic stroke, less common, but often more deadly. It happens when a blood vessel in the brain bursts, causing internal bleeding. Both types starve parts of the brain of oxygen and nutrients. Without intervention, brain cells die within minutes. But here's the thing. Strokes often don't strike suddenly. They build in silence, and if you listen carefully, your body will try to warn you. Warning sign 1. Quietly rising blood pressure. For decades, I've spoken with older patients who tell me, "I feel fine, doctor. I've had this blood pressure for years. It's just normal for me." But here's the truth. You don't feel high blood pressure, but it still damages your arteries every single day. Chronically elevated blood pressure wears down the delicate walls of your blood vessels. It acts like a slow drill, creating micro tears, encouraging fat buildup, and eventually, blockage or rupture. Why it matters for stroke. High blood pressure is the #1 risk factor for both ischemic and hemorrhagic strokes. The damage builds over weeks or months, and often without symptoms. If you haven't checked your BP at home in a while, this is your wake-up call. Aim for 120/80ths of a millimeter of mercury or lower, unless advised otherwise by your physician. Engagement prompt. Do you know your latest blood pressure reading? Comment. Number 1. Below if you're monitoring it regularly, or if today's the day you commit to starting. Real-life story. Frank's quiet numbers. Frank was 72, a retired mechanic, and lived alone. He hated going to the doctor but agreed to attend a free senior wellness screening at his church. His blood pressure? 178/100 seconds. "I feel fine," he said with a chuckle. "Guess I'm just built tough." 2 weeks later, he woke up unable to move his right arm. His speech slurred. He had experienced a minor ischemic stroke. Luckily, he was found early and received treatment. Today, Frank is a vocal advocate for checking BP regularly, because he got a second chance. Many others don't. Why high BP goes ignored. The reason high blood pressure is nicknamed the silent killer is because it doesn't hurt until it does. You can be walking around with numbers well above 160/100ths and not feel a thing. And yet, every day that goes by with those numbers is another day your arteries age faster than they should. For older adults, this process is even more critical, as our vessels naturally become less elastic with age. What makes it worse? Not taking prescribed medications consistently. Eating high-sodium processed foods. Unmanaged stress. Inactivity and sleep apnea. High blood pressure is preventable, detectable, and often treatable, but only if we look. Buy a home BP monitor. Check in the morning and evening for a week. Record your readings and show them to your doctor. This one simple habit can mean the difference between a long life and a devastating setback. And before we move on to the next chapter, let me gently remind you, if you found even one useful insight so far, there's so much more still to come. In the second half of this video, We'll talk about how eggs affect your blood sugar, your heart, your physical strength, and even the science behind why they might help you live longer. If you're enjoying this journey, please take a second to click the subscribe button. It means the world to us, and it helps more people like you discover life-changing, age-wise advice. And I'd love to hear from you. What's one thing you've learned so far that surprised you? Leave a comment below with the number of the chapter that resonated most. Let's keep learning from one another. Warning sign 2. The headache that doesn't belong. A hidden warning before the storm. We all get headaches. A bad night's sleep, too much coffee, or stress from everyday life can easily bring one on. But there's a certain type of headache, subtle, strange, persistent, that doesn't respond the same way to rest or pills. It feels off. And here's the truth most people don't know. A sudden or unusual headache can be one of the earliest signs of a stroke, especially in older adults. An atypical headache could be your brain's quiet alarm system, trying to say, something is wrong. Why does this happen? To understand why these strange headaches occur, we need to look inside the brain. In hemorrhagic strokes, small blood vessels begin to leak or rupture, releasing blood into the brain tissue. Even minor bleeding can irritate nerves and create pressure, resulting in intense or persistent headaches. In ischemic strokes, when a clot or fat deposit reduces blood flow, parts of the brain are momentarily starved of oxygen. This can also create a headache, especially if the area affected involves blood vessels near the sensory cortex. But not all headaches are warnings. So how do you know if yours is? What makes this headache different? Here are the key traits to watch for. It comes on suddenly, like a bolt of lightning out of nowhere. It feels unfamiliar, not like your usual migraines or tension headaches. It persists, even after you rest or take medication. It may come with other symptoms, such as slight visual disturbance, confusion, or dizziness. This is what doctors refer to as an atypical headache, and in the context of stroke risk, it should never be ignored. The silent clue of a TIA, mini-stroke. Sometimes, the headache is part of a transient ischemic attack, or TIA. This is a temporary blockage in the brain's blood supply that resolves within 24 hours. A TIA doesn't cause permanent damage, but it is a serious red flag. Studies show that 20% of people who suffer a TIA will experience a major stroke within just 30 days. If you have an unusual headache, even if it goes away, don't brush it off. Common misunderstandings. Many older adults think, it's just stress. I've had headaches before. This is nothing new. It went away, so it must not be serious. But here's what you must understand. As we age, new or changing symptoms carry more weight. A headache that feels different is your body's way of signaling that something in the system may be faltering. It might not be a stroke, but it could be the beginning of hypertension, vascular inflammation, or other brain-related issues that eventually lead there. What you should do. Here are the steps to take when a strange headache appears. 1. Observe carefully. Track when it started, how it feels, and if it's accompanied by other symptoms. 2. Don't self-medicate excessively. Over-the-counter drugs can mask symptoms, making diagnosis harder later. 3. Seek immediate evaluation. If the pain is intense, sudden, or accompanied by blurred vision, confusion, or weakness, go to the emergency room, not just your family clinic. 4. Insist on proper testing. A CT scan, MRI, or vascular imaging may be necessary, not just a routine checkup. Your brain does not send headaches as a coincidence. Especially in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, every symptom is part of a conversation your body is trying to have with you. Don't silence it. A single ignored headache could be the missed opportunity to prevent something far worse. Warning sign 3. One-sided numbness. A red flag. Not just a fluke. Have you ever felt your arm go numb after sleeping in an odd position? Or your foot fall asleep when sitting too long? In most cases, these sensations are temporary and harmless. But when numbness, tingling, or weakness appears without explanation, and only on one side of the body, it may be the first sign of a stroke. Many people ignore this moment. They shake their hand, they stomp their foot, they tell themselves it's just poor circulation or a pinched nerve. But here's what you must know. The brain controls the opposite side of the body. If the left side of your brain is in trouble, your right hand might be the one trying to tell you. Why does it happen on one side? The brain is divided into two hemispheres. The left hemisphere controls the right side of your body. The right hemisphere controls the left side. When a blood vessel on one side becomes blocked or ruptures, it affects the function of that hemisphere and, as a result, causes weakness or numbness on the opposite side. This isn't a random quirk of biology. It's one of the most reliable neurological signs of a stroke or a transient ischemic attack, TIA. Symptoms to watch for. This warning sign doesn't always scream for attention. In fact, it often whispers. A mild loss of strength in one arm or leg. A sensation of tingling or pins and needles. Trouble with fine motor skills, like buttoning a shirt or holding utensils. A subtle dragging of one foot when walking. An unsteady grip, like a glass slipping from your hand. It can affect just your arm, just your leg, one full side of the body. And sometimes it may disappear in a few hours. But don't let that fool you. Even temporary weakness is a neurological emergency. Studies show that over 70% of stroke victims experience some form of one-sided weakness or numbness. In TIAs, mini-strokes, these symptoms often last less than an hour but are highly predictive of a full stroke within days or weeks. Even if strength returns, the event must be treated like a fire drill. Your body just ran a simulation, and next time, it might not be reversible. What you should do. Here's your checklist if this symptom occurs. 1. Try the FAST test. Face. Ask them to smile. Does one side droop? Arms. Can they lift both arms? Does one drift down? Speech. Are they slurring or using the wrong words? Time. If any answer is yes, call emergency services immediately. 2. Don't wait to see if it gets worse. Time equals brain. Every second of delay costs brain cells. 3. Get a CT or MRI. Only imaging can show whether a clot, bleed, or TIA occurred. 4. Follow up after discharge. TIAs are warning shots, not lucky escapes. The body has a language all its own, and one-sided numbness is one of its most urgent dialects. Even if it feels mild, even if it goes away, even if you think you're just tired, the most dangerous symptom is the one you ignore. If you're finding this content valuable, please subscribe to the Daily Elder Advice channel and hit that bell icon. We're building a community of knowledge, one life-saving video at a time. Warning sign 4. Sudden trouble speaking or understanding others. When your words don't work anymore. You're in the middle of a conversation. Everything seems normal, but suddenly, something shifts. You open your mouth to speak, and the words come out wrong. Or someone speaks to you, and you hear them, but you don't understand what they're saying. You feel trapped in a moment where language itself breaks down. This isn't forgetfulness. It's not a slip of the tongue. It's one of the most serious, and often overlooked, early warning signs of a stroke. Why does this happen? The ability to speak and understand language is a high-level brain function. It's controlled by key regions, primarily in the left hemisphere. Broca's area helps form clear, fluent speech. Wernicke's area helps you understand what others say. When blood flow to these areas is reduced, whether by a clot, narrowing vessel, or microbleed, communication begins to break down. Even temporary blockages, like in a transient ischemic attack, TIA, can cause sudden confusion or speech problems. This is not something to brush off. What it looks like. The signs can be obvious or subtle. Either way, they should never be ignored. Here's how this symptom may appear. Slurred or mumbled speech. Using the wrong words. Inability to complete sentences. Pausing mid-sentence and looking confused. Difficulty understanding what others say, even simple questions. Responding with unrelated or illogical answers. And here's the scariest part. The person often doesn't realize anything is wrong. It's usually someone else who notices that their speech or responses don't make sense. What you must do. If you or someone you're with suddenly has trouble speaking, understanding, or forming words, act immediately. 1. Use the FAST test. Face, ask them to smile. Is one side drooping? Arms. Can they lift both arms? Does one drift down? Speech. Can they speak clearly? Do their words make sense? Time. If any answer is yes, call emergency services immediately. 2. Don't wait. Even if they seem to recover after a few minutes, a TIA or minor stroke could be the cause, and a bigger one may be coming. 3. Avoid guessing. Do not assume it's confusion, dehydration, fatigue, or medication. Let a doctor rule those out after imaging tests. In the next section, we'll explore balance problems and dizziness, a stroke warning that many mistake for aging. Vertigo, or just getting up too fast. Don't miss it. Warning sign 5. Sudden loss of balance or unsteady walking. When walking feels off, and you haven't had a drop to drink. You get up from your chair and take a step. Suddenly, your body doesn't cooperate. Your foot drags, your balance feels off. You feel wobbly, unsteady, even dizzy. And someone nearby might even joke, "Are you drunk, but you haven't touched a single drink?" This isn't clumsiness. This isn't just getting older. It could be your brain giving you a last-minute warning before a stroke strikes. The brain's balance center, and why it's so vulnerable. Balance is something we take for granted, until it's gone. But did you know that balance is one of the most sensitive brain functions? The systems that control balance involve: the cerebellum coordinates movement and stability. The inner ear senses motion and spatial orientation. The visual system helps orient the body in space. And blood flow to the brainstem, which integrates all of the above. When a stroke or TIA affects any of these areas, the result can be sudden dizziness, loss of coordination, walking like you're off kilter or drifting to one side, inability to stand or move confidently. And here's the key. These symptoms can appear days or even weeks before a full-blown stroke. What this might look like. Balance-related stroke symptoms are often misinterpreted as getting up too quickly, low blood sugar, a bad leg day, or just fatigue. But here's how stroke-related balance loss differs. You stumble for no clear reason. Your walking changes, you may sway, drag a foot, or walk in a zigzag pattern. You feel a sense of spinning, vertigo, while standing still. You lose the ability to control precise movement, fine motor coordination. You feel like you might fall, even on flat ground. This might last a few seconds or several hours, depending on how much blood flow is restricted. But even if it resolves, the danger hasn't passed. What you should do immediately. Never assume balance loss is harmless, especially if you've never felt it before. Here's what to do. 1. Avoid trying to walk it off. Continuing to move may increase your fall risk and delay life-saving care. 2. Lie or sit down safely until help arrives. Keep your body stable and still. 3. Do not drive. Even if the dizziness fades, your reflexes and balance may still be impaired. If your body suddenly feels unstable, believe it. Loss of balance is your nervous system's way of saying, "I'm losing control." And when your body loses control, every second counts. This is not a time to wait for a better moment. Call for help, even if you're not sure. The worst case scenario is a false alarm. The best case scenario is saving your life. Warning sign 6. Unusual fatigue. When exhaustion isn't just tiredness. More than just feeling tired. You wake up, but you don't feel rested. You try to complete a task you've done 1,000 times before, but your body feels heavy. Your energy missing. It's not laziness. It's not a bad night's sleep. It's something deeper. And here's the alarming truth. Extreme, unexplained fatigue may be an early sign of an upcoming stroke. Especially in older adults, this kind of exhaustion often appears days or even weeks before a serious brain event. Why fatigue happens before a stroke. A stroke doesn't always announce itself with slurred speech or numbness. Sometimes, it begins by silently stealing your energy. But why? Here's what might be happening beneath the surface. Reduced blood flow to the brain causes early cellular stress, even before tissue damage begins. The brain compensates, redirecting resources, making your entire body feel like it's running on fumes. Low oxygen delivery to cells results in a sluggish, foggy, and drained state. Inflammatory chemicals released during early vascular changes may contribute to overwhelming mental and physical fatigue. This isn't ordinary tiredness. It's the kind of fatigue that makes everyday life feel like climbing a mountain. What this fatigue feels like. Fatigue as a stroke warning sign is sudden and out of character, not explained by physical activity or lack of sleep. Persistent, lasting days or longer with no clear reason. Whole body exhaustion, not just in muscles, but mentally as well. Accompanied by a sense of disconnection or mental dullness. Often brushed off as just getting older or normal aging. But normal aging does not include sudden changes in baseline energy. If you normally walk around the block and suddenly feel like you need to lie down halfway through, it's a sign worth investigating. What makes this symptom dangerous? Because fatigue is so common, it's easy to ignore. Many seniors, especially those with chronic illnesses or caregiving stress, already feel tired much of the time. But this kind of fatigue is different. It's not relieved by rest. It may be accompanied by subtle cognitive changes, slower thinking, trouble concentrating. It may occur before any other stroke symptoms show up. And in women especially, fatigue is sometimes the only warning sign before a stroke hits. What you should do. If you experience sudden, unexplained fatigue, take it seriously, especially if you have other risk factors like high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, heart rhythm issues, history of smoking or stroke. Here's how to respond. 1. Monitor your symptoms. Write down when it started, how intense it is, and what triggers or relieves it. 2. Check for other signs. Is there any weakness, dizziness, or confusion with the fatigue? 3. Talk to your doctor immediately. Ask for tests to check blood pressure, oxygen levels, and brain imaging if necessary. 4. Don't wait for a more dramatic symptom. Stroke prevention often depends on early, quiet signs like this one. Warning sign number 7. Loss of coordination. When simple tasks become strangely difficult. Something feels off. You reach for your cup of tea, but your hand feels slower than usual. You try to write your name, but your pen won't stay steady. You go to button your shirt, but your fingers won't quite follow the order. It's not that you're weak. It's not that you're tired. It's something else. Something small, something subtle, something new. And sometimes, this is exactly how a stroke begins. Why coordination fails before a stroke? The ability to move with precision is controlled by multiple brain regions. The motor cortex coordinates muscle movement. The cerebellum ensures balance, timing, and smooth motion. The brainstem connects the whole system and delivers the right signals. If blood flow to any of these areas is temporarily blocked or reduced, even for just a few minutes, movements become clumsy. Fine motor control disappears. And your brain and body go slightly out of sync. This is often not dramatic, but it is meaningful. What loss of coordination can look like? The tricky part? These symptoms are often mild or dismissed. Here's how it may show up. Difficulty using utensils or writing instruments. Problems tying shoelaces or buttoning clothing. Trouble typing or using a phone with precision. Awkward movements, especially in one hand or foot. A general feeling of not being as sharp physically. It might feel like your hand has forgotten how to do what it's always done. And even if it only happens once, it should be taken seriously. What you should do immediately. 1. Pay attention to patterns. If you feel awkward or clumsy in ways that are new, write it down. 2. Watch for symmetry. Is it only on one side of the body? This strongly suggests a neurological issue. 3. Combine awareness. Did this happen with dizziness, headache, speech issues, or fatigue recently? 4. Do not wait. These moments may be a final warning before a full stroke occurs. 5. See a doctor. Request imaging, MRI or CT, and ask specifically, could this be a TIA? Warning sign 8. Sudden vision problems. When the world looks different in an instant. When what you see is no longer what's real. Imagine this. You're reading the newspaper, and suddenly the letters blur. You're walking through your home, and a part of the room vanishes from view. Or worse, you see two versions of everything, as if the world just shifted into a distorted mirror. If any of these happen to you, do not assume it's just your glasses. Sudden changes in vision, blurred, double, or partial loss, are often one of the final and most urgent warning signs before a stroke. Why vision is affected before a stroke? The brain and eyes are closely connected. In fact, the visual cortex, the part of the brain that processes what we see, is located in the back of the brain. In the occipital lobe, when a stroke disrupts blood flow to the visual cortex, or the optic nerve, or the retina's blood supply, it can instantly interfere with your ability to see clearly, even if your eyes themselves are healthy. And depending on which part of the brain is affected, the symptom might show up as blurry vision, double vision, diplopia, partial vision loss. What's even more dangerous is that this symptom is often painless, which makes people ignore it until it's too late. What vision changes look like? Here are signs that your vision may be stroke-related. You suddenly can't see clearly out of one or both eyes. You see double, objects appear ghosted or duplicated. You lose peripheral vision, bumping into furniture, people, or doors. You experience a dark patch or curtain over part of your visual field. You feel disoriented or unable to focus visually, even when the room is still. These visual changes can last a few seconds, or continue until a stroke is fully underway. Even if it clears up quickly, that moment of distortion may have been your brain trying to warn you, I'm under attack. Don't confuse it with these common conditions. Many people, especially older adults, confuse vision issues with cataracts, dry eyes, low blood sugar, eye strain. But there's a key difference. Stroke-related vision changes usually come on suddenly, not gradually. And they often affect just one eye or one side of the visual field, not both evenly. What to do if you notice vision changes? 1. Stop what you're doing. Sudden vision loss can affect coordination and balance. Sit down safely. 2. Perform the FAST test. Don't ignore other signs like facial drooping, arm weakness, or slurred speech. 3. Call emergency services immediately. Do not wait for an eye appointment. This is a brain issue. 4. Insist on imaging. Ask for a CT scan or MRI to rule out a TIA or stroke-related vision loss. You've just taken an important step, one that many never take. By learning about the early warning signs and prevention strategies for stroke, you've done more than just gather information. You've chosen to listen to your body more deeply. Because the truth is, stroke rarely comes without warning. It comes after days, weeks, even months of whispers, a strange headache, a clumsy hand, a word you couldn't quite find. These aren't just signs of aging, they are messages from your brain, asking for help. And the beautiful thing is this, it's not too late. Not to prevent, not to change, not to protect the life you've worked so hard to build. At Daily Elder Advice, we believe aging isn't about decline, it's about awareness, about choosing to stay informed, strong, and connected. So if this video spoke to you, if even one sign made you pause, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and share it with someone you care about. You never know whose life you might help save. And if you've ever experienced any of these signs, or supported someone who has, we'd love to hear your story in the comments. Because the more we share, the more we all learn. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and remember, your best years are not behind you. They're the ones you protect. Starting today.